Welcome back to Star Wars Nerds Unite, a discussion and review podcast on the Star Wars universe. We'll take one piece of the Star Wars media, discuss it at length, give some discussion and review, and we'll tell you how many lightsabers it's worth.
This is a really long...
Have a little laughing fun along the way.
You're just trying to
Why
up
did you
your
try to
word count?
Joining me as always.
Synopsis.
Joining me as always.
Why are you pointing at stuff?
I'm trying to move the camera without,
It's fine.
without getting away from the mic.
I can move the camera.
It doesn't have you in it.
Oh, no.
Well, everybody wants to see you.
Oh, no.
There. See, that's better. Joining me as always, as you can see now, if you're watching the live feed.
Does it even tell you if anyone's watching?
Yeah, 0 viewers. That's how many it says.
Where's it?
Well, nobody would know that we're
in the
doing
bottom
this
right-hand
right
corner.
now.
No one knows. I did tweet
Put
it
it on Twitter, yeah.
but that was seconds ago. We'll see if anybody jumps on, even for a second. Joining me as always are Josh the Tosh, internet famous Mason. Hi, Josh.
How's it going?
And my lovely wife Jennifer,
Hello.
who always looks this good on a Sunday morning.
Yep.
Always.
It's Sunday
Usually
afternoon at this
better.
point.
It's not afternoon quite yet. And I am regular show host Tim Van Autrive, wearing my sweet C-3PO hat with a flat brim, courtesy of Josh the Tosh and his Funko Pop.
I thought that was from someone else.
Oh, it's from...
No, it's from Josh.
Oh.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today, fellows?
Bloodline.
No? Bloodline. Star Wars
I want to talk
Bloodline.
about Bloodlines.
That's not the book. It's called Bloodline.
That's fine.
By Claudia Gray.
That's what I'm going to talk about, though.
Claudia Gray, author of our favorite Star Wars novel of the new canon,
Lost Stars.
Lost Stars. She has written a story that takes place 6 years before The Force Awakens,
Correct.
and it really sets up a lot of the universe for us. I think it's a fairly big deal, this book.
Yeah, it explains a lot of how the New Republic got into the problem it got into in The Force Awakens.
Indeed it did. Infighting, bipartisanship,
Yeah.
security before freedom.
You're acting so weird since
You
we're
are.
we have this camera on. It's like you're a new person.
I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
I'm
you're
acting-
acting
I think
like
I'm exacting exactly
you're
like I am
doing everything
normally.
so different.
I'm just in a good mood.
I'm glad you're in a good mood.
Good.
Jeez Louise. All right, what are we, who's going to do the synopsis of this bad
She
boy?
was supposed to.
Me?
She's-
Yeah, oh
She
yeah.
read
Oh,
it the most
jeez.
recently.
She did. And you and I read Aftermath, Life Debt.
Yeah.
So my brain keeps kind of sewing those two books
I've actually
together.
read 4 books since I read Bloodline.
So we're relying on Jennifer.
Oh God. We're screwed.
Well, we just need you to be quicker
Okay, so
at reading.
it starts. Leia is a senator in the New Republic. It's 6 years before the Force Awakens movie.
Yep.
She is the Senate is kind of divided into 2 factions. There's the centrists and the populists, and she is a populist. The populists believe that, in democracy and there shouldn't be one person in power. They're really worried about what happened
Decentralized power.
with Palpatine. They want every world to have its own government.
Right.
The centrists believe more in a stronger centralized government and military
Stronger
power,
military,
and so
basically the Empire.
yes, some of them even are idolize Palpatine and what he had done. So they're divided. But the problem with the Senate is
With the Senate.
nothing happens. They just argue and
No.
talk
Star
and
Wars
talk
minute
and
joke.
talk, and they have meetings all the time, but nothing ever moves forward. They're
Nobody
just,
compromises.
Yeah, so
And
nothing
they're pretty
happens.
evenly split in the Senate. So
Yeah.
It's just gridlock.
So she's really frustrated. She's actually thinking about leaving, retiring, and just traveling the galaxy, universe, whatever, with Han. They're married still, which I thought was interesting that they were still married this far into things because in The Force Awakens, it seems like they hadn't seen each other in 15, 20 years or something, but
They were still married.
in The Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Aside from being married in The Force Awakens, it still seems like they have been
Yeah, it seemed like they'd been apart.
disillusioned and split for a long time.
And how do
So
you
we've
know
learned
they're
it's at
still
least
married?
less than 6 years.
Yeah.
Six years is a long time when you truly love someone. Can you imagine not seeing me for 6 years, darling?
That's not anything to do with this. I'm just saying it's
It
in the
isn't?
movie it seemed like they hadn't been together for a really long time, and in the book you find out 6 years before this happened they're still happily married, so it's just surprising. So
Ben is off training with Luke.
Ben is gone with Luke. She mentions Ben several times and she doesn't know where they are, and there's really no way to contact him, but she knows he's with Luke somewhere. But back to Han, he is not with Chewie. He just like travels all over the place and does races and kind of mentors young pilots, and
Yeah.
I don't
he's a
really
very
know. He's just
famous,
he doesn't like to sit
successful
still.
Space racer.
He's always gone away from home.
And Chewbacca's on Kashyyyk.
Yeah, Chewbacca's not there. So,
He's a little like Pop Racer from Speed Racer.
But in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eye roll.
so,
Number one.
Leia is planning on retiring, and then through a series of events, she ends up having to stay in the Senate. At one of their big Senate meetings, what is the guy? The
Yendor.
Twi'lek, Yendor.
Ambassador Yendor.
He brings an issue to the Senate. He says that there's this crime, I don't know, crime
Syndicate.
lord,
Sure,
family,
crime lord.
whatever, that has taken place of the Hutts on his planet, and
Causing trouble.
yeah, nobody's really doing anything about it. And he wants to bring the Senate, get the Senate involved so they take care of this because people are, whatever, they're taking the place of the Hutts. And
So how do we know Yendor? Do you remember?
yeah, he was in Lost Stars. He was buddies with, what's his name? Zane? Yeah.
Thing.
Thane,
He was also in
Zane.
Shattered Empire,
What's Shattered Empire?
the comic book series.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He was a pilot
Mm-hmm.
in
He was,
Shara's squadron.
yeah.
I didn't remember that.
So,
Good pull.
Yeah.
So
That's what you're here for.
Leia gets involved in this investigation. I don't remember how or why she volunteers for this, but
Because she's a friend of Yendor's, and everyone in the Senate's
they
just
kind
like
of right. They
ignoring
kind of
him. They're reading
dismissed him.
books and talking about what show they're going to see that night instead of listening to
They
Yendor.
They kind of dismissed him. Like especially the centrists. They're like, why should we believe him? And blah, blah, blah. And
Well, Ryloth's not part of the New Republic. They're a neutral world.
oh, because you're right.
So he's coming to ask for help.
Princess Leia gets involved in this mission to investigate this crime syndicate, and somebody decides that she shouldn't go alone, that they should have both of the parties represented. So Ransom Casterfo, who is a very popular senator
He's
in the
young and up and coming.
yeah centrist party, is gonna go with her on this mission, and they don't really have a relationship. She knows who he is, but a lot of the beginning of the book is about this mission and about them getting to know each other and work together. And I think she does a really good job. Claudia Gray, the author, does a really good job of portraying like both of the sides of the Senate parties, because he's a centrist, and at first you think like, oh, he's going to be like a bad guy and you don't like him, and they show these negative things about him, but then you realize like he's not bad, and even his ideas aren't really bad. And she does the same thing with Lost Stars. I think she shows how there's so many people in the Empire that are good, that you start to like the bad guy almost.
I wonder how she was in debate club in high school.
Probably pretty good.
I don't think she went to high school.
So So anyway,
Okay.
I didn't like Ransom at the beginning, but then I really liked him towards the end.
Well, one of the reasons you don't like him at first is because she goes to his office. And
Right.
he has tons of
Their
Empire artifacts all over.
their relationship doesn't start off too hot. She goes to meet him at his office, and he is kind of like has a shrine to the Empire. He collects old artifacts and displays them all over his office.
Did anybody notice their weird relationship? They had this weird sort of. There was almost a sexual tension.
No, there
between them.
wasn't. That was you. You're crazy.
I think there was too.
No, there
a little
wasn't.
bit,
Yeah.
especially in the middle of the book.
Yeah, I agree.
There was no weird.
There was
Anything.
the more he got to know her, the more he was attracted to her.
He kept
There was
showing how much he respected her
Right.
and how beautiful she was at times.
Right.
He comments on it in the book.
I don't remember him calling her beautiful.
He does when they meet later in the book, like at a lunch or something, when the boat race or I can't remember what the event was. But he mentions it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it was meant to be like that.
I think Claudia did a good job of making it not go that way, but I do think she added in a little bit, just as sort of making a few of the readers think that might
Be a
try to
thing.
blossom at some point, and it never did.
No, yeah, I think it was really. They were both professional. I don't think either one of them had feelings for each other. That's why I think it was a good thing, a good relationship, and it was not like your typical love story or this one falls for this one, and the whole thing is about their feelings. They both had completely different ideas, and they were very different people, but they grew to respect each other and understand the other side of the party and work together. And I think that was the whole point of their relationship.
All right,
They became great friends.
let's move
Well,
forward.
Anyway, there wasn't any.
They go to Daxon
love.
4. Who do they go with?
Her assistant Greer and this young pilot. What's his name?
Joff.
Sea Striker. And C-3PO, I think, came.
Yeah.
C-3PO is in the whole book.
And they go and she meets this Nikto who's in charge of an underworld faction called, I don't remember what they're called, but his name is Renriven Dai.
Yes. And they remind me, I don't know, just the way they're described, they kind of remind me of like reptiles, lizard people, like in Kanan, his friend.
No,
They're not
a
like
Nikto has horns and stuff. I'll show you a picture of a
well,
Nikto.
they remind me of like snake-like people. Sorry. So in the beginning, Rin Riven Dai is trying to schmooze them and whatever.
That's a
Well,
That's a
Nikto.
Nikto.
He kind of looks like a lizard.
I mean, yeah, but
He looks like Killer Croc from
He doesn't-
Suicide Squad,
Um,
the
he
worst
doesn't,
movie of 2016.
look like what's his face?
well, okay. I just thought it was similar. I was kind of picturing.
Hondo?
Janus Casimir
Yeah.
is who she was talking about.
Yeah.
Hondo is a Nikto.
So I don't remember exactly what happens the first time they meet Rin Riven Dai. But
Well, they go to this casino and they see
Oh,
a
yeah,
creepy
yeah,
old
yeah.
lady
so
who's
they
staring at him, and
right.
they find out about Rin Riven Dai. Then they go
Leia, they place the Bach. Leia
Wins.
beats everyone, and
Yeah.
then she just gives them back the money that she won and buys everybody drinks. And Ransom thinks that she's playing it all wrong, and this is when they still don't really get each other or agree on anything.
Well, he has these visions of the populace being like fruity people, like peace, love, beatnik people that he doesn't.
He doesn't think she's proper enough, and that she's not setting a good example of the Senate.
Well, and he doesn't respect her wiles, you know.
He's more proper than her, and like think she
Well,
should.
I'm saying more than that. Like, he doesn't understand that she
Breaks the rules.
breaks the rules.
She's a rogue herself.
And she's very capable. like when she starts breaking the rules, he thinks like
She doesn't know what she's
she doesn't,
doing.
but she knew what she was doing the whole time, and
Right.
so he's learning that about her.
And she was doing that because the people respect power and winning
Right.
above all things. So she was actually making them all respect her and whatever. And then she goes off to meet someone.
Rin die.
And then she's captured on the way.
Well,
Yeah.
captured.
She's kidnapped on the way. She knew she was going to be. She
Right.
went by herself. And then she sits with Rin die. She gets this Alderanian wine that,
It's super good.
yeah, super good.
So
I didn't know it still
Rin
existed.
has set up this meeting with her. I don't know. He sends some people to come and pick her up, and she thinks they're taking her somewhere else.
No,
Or-
she knows that she's going, like he said, that she's going to get abducted
Right.
and taken
But
to
what
him.
was the pretense? There was some other pretense.
She
of
was
where
going
they
to
were taken.
She was going
minister
to
or
meet
something.
someone.
Yes, she was
It
going
wasn't
to-
going to meet
All
Rin
right.
die.
So, anyway, Rin Rivendai has his thugs, bring her to him secretly, and they have this little meeting, this private meeting, and he gives her this gift of this Alderanian wine, and she doesn't even believe it's real, but then she smells it, and it brings her back, and she can't believe that she has it, and it was like a huge moment for her, reliving a part of Alderanian and culture and all that. So he gives her this gift, and then he starts talking about how much he respects her and he knows her more than she knows, and she's kind of clueless like what's going on. But then he shows her this, what is it called?
Holocube.
Holocube,
Yeah.
whatever thing. This
It's a video of her killing Jabba.
yeah, and what is the name of his?
Hut Slayer.
I know. What is their
Jabba
name?
the Hutt.
Oh my god.
The Niktos.
The Niktos. The Niktos and the Hutts have this long
Well, they were like slaves
established,
to the Hutts.
Yeah.
right, history. So the fact that she killed Jabba makes her almost a god to their culture.
Right. They call her a Hut Slayer.
They call her Hutt Slayer, and so he really respects her, and he gives her this cube so she
Right.
can keep this memory herself. And he's trying to
It's
Too into the weeds.
almost blackmail her, almost say, I respect you, but I know you're not what everybody else thinks you are.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of admitting that they're doing some shady things, but,
Well, he wants a senator on his side.
right, he's trying to get her on his side.
He's trying to bribe her.
So she is kind of trapped here with him. She's thinking
She's not
of how,
trapped. She is talking to him to try and figure out what he's doing. So she's complicit in his little attempt to bribe her.
all the while, Ransom thinks that she's really in danger. He's had some tracking device on her or something.
A cloaker, yeah.
And so he busts in to save her, takes out the guards, and they get out. Rin die is fine. They get out. And
She's super angry because
She's
he was
mad.
about to tell her what was up with his little scheme.
yeah. And he thinks she should be thanking him because he just saved her life.
Right. Again, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
He's not familiar that she's
He
way
doesn't
more
know she's
capable.
a Hutt Slayer.
right. He definitely doesn't know that.
So off they go back
Back
to
to Hosnian Prime. Yeah.
and so they have information. They know that something's going on. They don't know exactly what he's doing, and
They tell the Senate, "Hey, we should do something about this. We should explore it." And they're all like, "Nope, don't care.
right.
Let's talk about something else."
But they know there's something going on, so they want to pursue it together. They're both vested at this point, and I don't know.
invested.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another character we haven't talked about yet is Carice.
Indian.
Carice Indian. She is from one of the elder houses, like Leia. So
She's a noble.
she has a title, which there's not many people left who do, and she's all about the bloodline and title and nobility. And there's a planet that because there's not many people left from these elder houses. The title of, I don't even know what the title is, Countess, Duchess, I don't know. Some title is supposed to fall to Leia of this planet. And Leia could care less. Leia doesn't want it. She doesn't want to mess with it. She thinks like these titles are ridiculous. So she kind of just blows
even though everybody calls her princess still.
It's the governorship of Biren.
Yeah, Biren. She just kind of blows it off, and she doesn't take this Carice person seriously. She thinks she's just kind of I don't know. She's kind of a nitwit. She's like this southern. She seems like this southern belle.
Lord.
Like that she just goes to tea parties all day or something. That's what she seems like. And,
Sounds like your dream life.
But she's a centrist.
No, she's a centrist. So she plays a pretty big role later on, but in the beginning you don't understand.
She plays a big role. She proposes to the Senate that they get rid of Chancellor.
Yep.
And have a new office called First Senator that has like kind of like a president.
Yeah.
Has military powers and things that the Chancellor. Because if you remember, Mon Mothma in the first Aftermath book kind of took away a lot of the power of the Chancellor.
Yeah, she leveled the playing field for everybody, basically, to take away the power and the chance that there could be another Palpatine.
And the centrists really don't like that. They want a strong, because they talk about all the bickering and the stuff not happening. And if they just had a strong first senator, they could take action without needing the consent of the Senate.
Right. And so then we deal with these bipartisan politics where it's the two sides who need to find an elect, and they end up choosing the populace end up choosing Leia, even though she doesn't want to. She's actually already decided she's going to retire from politics after her term is up, and she's told Han this, but then she realizes how divided the universe is.
She decides if there's going to be a first senator, it should be somebody she can trust. And
which is her.
She just doesn't want it to be a centrist.
Yeah, right. They're depending on her
popularity. Yeah. Because she's one of the most popular people in the galaxy.
Right.
And she's a lot of the Senate is younger whippersnappers who weren't even around for the war.
Right.
And they don't understand
what's happening right now in the Senate.
Kaboom.
There is an explosion. Which I think happened before.
It doesn't happen for
this
a while.
I think it happened before the first senator idea came up.
It didn't. I promise you it didn't.
Oh. Well, okay, so Leia and Casterfo are kind of secretly working together to continue their mission to find out more about this crime.
So you skipped a little part where Joff and Greer go to Pomarth to investigate Rin Riven Dai, and they end up hearing these rumors about the Amaxine warriors.
Right, because Leia and Casterfo are still trying to secretly uncover more about this. Right. And so they send her assistant Greer and their pilot to
Pomarth, which is Greer's home planet.
Right. Which also Casterfo goes on his own. He uses because he collects all of these artifacts.
That's not yet.
I have no idea when any of this happens.
I'm telling you.
Well, then you can do the synopsis in your own order.
I'm doing the order of the book.
Go ahead, then.
So they find out about these people called the Amaxine warriors. And so it's another thread for them to pull on to try and figure out what's going on with Rin Riven Dai. And they're told on Pomarth, the Pomarthians are well-known fighter pilots and traders, and
they're tough.
Right,
they're
rough and tumble.
Tough.
They're like the Greyjoys if you're Game of Thrones fans.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and they're told, if you're a pilot willing to do unsavory things, you can go to this station, and these people, the Amaxine warriors, are looking for pilots to move shipments with no questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
So that was their little side thing, and Joff and Greer start to emotionally bond.
But the Amaxine warriors, one thing of note is that they are a thing of legend. The
name Amaxine warriors.
Right. They were people that had left and went out into the far regions of space and to form their own whatever. their own clans and build their own destiny. And they left the galaxy as a whole. And so they're on the fringes and the outer rims. And so there's legends about them, but nobody ever even knows that they actually exist. And then that's kind of a common theme throughout the book is they keep touching on things that are out in the outer rim that are rumored, but then are starting to, I guess, form up more, like become more real.
And the rumors of the Amaxian warriors they're mainly on centrist worlds. So once they hear Amaxian warriors, they start to do a little research and they find out there's lots of references to it in centrist worlds and not on populous worlds. So it's starting to build this idea in the good guys, quote, heads, that it's a centrist, the centrists are up to no good. And so Leia decides, I need to get with Ransom and explain all this Amaxian warrior nonsense.
Right.
Because he's the only centrist I can trust.
Yeah, and they start to bond over various things like Vader's torture. You find out that Ransom has experienced, like, his parents were killed by Vader right in front of him, and he was a slave, basically.
Right.
And he ended up working his way out and becoming a senator. So Leia starts to get a soft spot in her heart because he's not just a spoiled brat. He actually worked for what he's got, and
she has actually been tortured by Vader, and she told him that.
Right. And so he starts to like her because she's experienced some of the same things he has, and she's not just a debutante, rogue, hippy-dippy, whatever. She's actually a person. And so they start to gain mutual respect for one another.
All right. Now we get to the napkin bombing.
Right, which I liked that they gave it a name proper, like they would in the news cycle in real life.
Exactly.
They gave it some sort of catchy name.
Are you ready to take back over?
Me?
Yeah, you're over there just messing with your hands.
She's done. She's already clocked out this episode. She put her little card in the machine.
So there was a meeting in the Senate building. And they
were going to announce.
Not even one sentence in.
Well, the meeting, I'm saying what the meeting's about. They were going to announce that Leia was going to run for first senator as a populist.
So they're indoors. They come to this, which most of the huge Senate meetings, it sounds like are outdoors because there's...
I imagine something that looks like the Coliseum.
Yeah, because there's all these different levels of seating, and you have to, you have your little pad in front of you. You have to push the button if you want to talk, and there's robots
like the Senate
that bring
chamber,
a microphone to you. Yeah, it's definitely outdoors. So this is a smaller meeting in the Senate building. In one room, there's a table.
It's just the populace. They're having a luncheon thing.
Yeah, so they have their tables set up. There's place settings or whatever, and they all come in. And Leia throughout the book, she doesn't call it. I don't know if she calls it the Force specifically, but she gets different Force feelings, and she's uneasy this whole day, this whole morning, and she comes in to this room and sits down, and she looks down at her napkin and she opens it up and it says run. And it's weird for a lot of reasons. She said the written word is very uncommon to see anymore. Nobody hand writes anything because they stopped teaching cursive in schools. And
because everyone has their iPads.
That's right. Nobody needs to write handwriting.
So it says run. So she's been feeling uneasy this whole day, something horrible is going to happen. So she starts screaming at everyone to run, run, run. And they just look at her like she's nuts. And she makes a comment about how they don't even understand danger. They don't understand. They weren't around for the war. They don't even know that it could possibly be in danger. They look at her like she's crazy. They're like, what are you talking about? So she gets up and starts racing out of the building, and then people start following her. And the building, there's a big explosion, and lots of people are hurt. I don't think...
There are people that die, but not
people
major
die.
characters.
Not very many. I don't think very many people died. Most of them got out. Her assistants... or one of her assistants is hurt. She ends up finding everybody, and it's this huge deal. And like he said, the media calls it the napkin bombing. The centrists blame the populists, and because, how was it that they all got out on time? How did they know about this? And the populists, of course, think it's the centrists. So there's just more of a rift between them now, which was the whole point.
Well, the centrists think the populists did it to gain support. Like, they staged a bomb.
Right, yeah. To make them look bad. And so, go ahead, Josh. Then what happens?
They go...
Nope.
So Greer. Greer and what's his name? Ransom end up going to Daxam 4, which is where they hear the Amaxine warriors are hanging out. And
is this when he has his helmet that he wants to buy?
Yeah, because Sterfos sets it up as a buy.
It's like a Craigslist thing.
Yeah, but like Silk Road Craigslist.
Yeah,
because he's well known, I guess, as a collector.
And he goes by his real name, but everybody else has call signs like Night Dagger.
The red, I can't remember what the name. The Crimson
Blade.
Crimson Blade is the person he's set up to meet, who has an artifact that he might want, and so he legitimately has a reason to be there. So that's why he decides to do it himself. So he goes with Greer, and then Leia and Joff go to Ryloth because they're going to go look through the archives in Ryloth and see if they can track where Rin Riven's getting his money and just see what they know on Rin Riven. Do you want to explain what happens when he goes to Daxam 4?
Right. So he meets up with this, the person that's supposed to be selling him this Sith artifact. And it's this woman that they had seen.
Imperial artifact. It's not Sith.
Yeah, well, it's kind of in the gray area. It's a Royal Guard helmet. So it's kind of tied to
it's Palpatine,
but then also Imperial.
I was hoping that it was the Imperial Guard helmet. Oh, that from Lando, but that wasn't an Imperial Guard helmet.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It's the same
Royal
thing.
Guard. You're talking about the helmet that was on the pedestal?
Yeah.
That wasn't a Royal Guard helmet.
That was like a Sith helmet or whatever.
Yeah.
And the lady, you were saying it's the one that was in the casino back on...
So he meets up with this person. They have this meetup where they introduce each other and they start talking about this helmet that he's interested in buying. And it is the woman that they saw back in the little cantina when...
The casino.
When Leia and Ransom first came to investigate Rin Riven Die. There was this weird woman that Leia just could tell she was trying to make herself scarce, but it was obvious to them that there was something going on. It was the same woman. So they meet, and
the helmet used to belong to her brother. Her brother was a Royal Guard. She was a TIE fighter pilot. She is very much an Imperial loyalist.
Right. He is very surprised that she would want to get rid of it. And she said she's been looking for someone, the right person to sell it to for a long time. She's basically trying to lure in people that are Emperor Palpatine sympathizers to grow their
and he's an influential senator. So.
Right. So she's been looking for somebody like this. She brings him to where they have...
Well, he passes the test. Like they talk about in little hushed tones about the Empire, and he plays the part of being an Imperial loyalist, and so she thinks he's on her side. Mm-hmm. And so she reveals that there's an Amaxine warrior training camp on this planet.
So she brings him to their training site and shows him the helmet and has him try it on. And then they decide to have a
duel with force pikes.
Right.
One of the Amaxine warriors.
And this is where it got really exciting, because I thought, like in Lando, I thought if he put that helmet on, he might go dark instantly. I don't know. He was he had such a horrible upbringing and all this anger in him, and just he wanted revenge. And so I thought the closer he got to them, I thought he was just going to snap and go dark. And that was really exciting. I thought this was like the most exciting part of the book.
I think Claudia Gray does a really good job throughout the book of presenting these things that like could happen, and she builds them up believingly yet subtly. And even when there's not the payoff you're expecting, you're still satisfied and you enjoy.
Well, I was satisfied even more because he stayed true to himself and he didn't go dark. And I mean, he did exactly what he needed to do to get in there, get all the information he needed, and then get out and pass that on. And he didn't, compromise himself. So he is actually like a badass fighter. And Greer was with him, and she was tracking him this time. And it was almost the exact same thing that happened with Leia, where she thinks that he's in over his head because she is underestimating him because who would think that he knows how to fight. So he's in this den with all these warriors who've been training for a war. And so Greer is like,
do you think maybe
should I go get him? Should I not get him?
They would ever have warriors train for like a parade?
Or yeah, they do. They do have them train from parades. Absolutely, they do.
No.
Bad example.
I just mean they're warriors who've been actively training and they're building up to a huge world war or whatever, universal takeover. So it was almost the same situation, but then Greer didn't bust in on him.
He was in on the tracking this time. I mean, he willingly told her, hey, I'll say something if I get in over my head, and you come save me.
But she almost did anyway.
Right.
So she put him up against this Maxine person. He beats them.
And so
he could kill them. Like the deal, like he could have totally killed them, but he's like doesn't want to. And so he earns her respect even more.
Right.
And then he gets out of there.
The big thing he finds out is that they have bases. The Maxine warriors have bases all over the place, but their biggest one is on Cybensko.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing that he gained from this trip.
So then what?
He ends up he thinks something's up because Cybensko's a centrist world. And he calls Carice Sindian and says, hey, something's up on all these centrist worlds, and there's these Amaxian warriors, and they've got a base on Cybensko. What should we do about it? And she's like, don't worry about it.
She's like, oh, you're so silly.
There's bigger things to worry about.
She just tries to, like, talk him out of it and make him sound like he's just overthinking things. And as the book goes on, you find out she's much more involved in all this than you would have ever thought in the beginning based on how they introduced her. Also, I don't know exactly at what moment in the book or the page or anything that this happened, but Leia, Carice keeps bugging Leia about this, about this Planet Biren title. So Leia finally is just like, you know what? If you want it, you can go take the title. It's all yours. And it works out for Leia because Leia doesn't want to mess with it. She thinks it's silly. And it will get Carice away from the Senate for several weeks while they're doing all of these ceremonies to inaugurate her. And she'll be away from the first Senate, elections and everything. So she agrees to go. She legitimately isn't faking that she really wants this title. So she goes to Biren, and while she is there going through all these week-long ceremonies, she is, I don't know, somehow she's placed in this room with all these artifacts that she inherits as the title.
Right.
And
it's like the
treasure room.
Yeah.
This treasure room, and she's all excited about what's in here. And there's not like treasure or gold or anything, but there's this little hope chest, and she starts digging around, and she realizes this is like Leia's stuff from her childhood that Bale had saved for her all these years. is she opens up this little box that starts playing this like Alderanian lullaby, and then Bail Organa's voice comes on. He had recorded a message for Leia, and it's just a really sweet, heartfelt message, and he eventually tells her that Darth Vader is her father, and he tried to protect her, and he hopes that, everything's okay, blah, 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 blah. And so now Carice knows this, and she uses this to basically destroy Leia in the Senate, because Leia is the populist running mate.
Well, not yet, but at this point in the book, everyone suspects Leia will run for first senator. She hasn't announced yet.
So at the next big Senate meeting...
Well, before that happens, there's a couple other little things that happen. Casterfo meets with a bunch of centrists to try and feel them out. And it's like a private reception. And he's finding out that there's a lot of centrists that are still very pro-Empire.
Mm-hmm.
More so than he thinks is appropriate. And then Leia meets with Rin Riven Dai on a different planet. I can't remember its name right now. It's
Doesn't matter.
It's a planet.
It doesn't matter.
Harloff Minor.
Doesn't matter.
It's like a pleasure planet. Like you go there for vacations. And
it's like a Mediterranean
she basically
jungle.
Has deduced between Ryloth and this planet that Rin Riven Dai is just a puppet of some bigger power. They're feeding him money. They elevated him from a low-level spice trader to the head of a criminal syndicate. So she knows something big is going on. So then after, what's her face? Carice finds out about Leia. She tells it to Arlise Hadrassian. We find out for the first time that Carice and Hadrassian are working together.
Hadrassian is the Maxine warrior woman.
The Maxine warrior crazy lady. And so we find out they're working together and bad things are afoot.
And I think in one of the conversations with Carice and this Maxine person, Carice is kind of like irritated with her about the bombing.
Because we find out
the Maxine
is the one that did the bombing.
That did the napkin bombing, and she,
because Arlise wants stuff to happen,
right? And
she really hates the New Republic, and
she's trying to get.
Carice just wants them to sow chaos and not attack.
What we're seeing is the formation of
the First Order.
Well, it's not even the formation; it's the First Order starting to impose their will upon the galaxy.
Right.
And that's who the Maxine warriors are working with, and that's why all these centrist worlds are involved, and why these politicians are secretly working with the First Order. It's basically their way of weaseling their way in and taking control.
Right.
That's what makes this book interesting.
Well, the First Order is part of the New Republic. It's the it's officials that are already in the New Republic.
What will become
centrists?
Yeah, but it's not.
They're not formally the First Order.
Yeah,
they're working in secret to affect the will of the First Order.
It's not like they have the First Order has a representative in the Senate. It's more like they are centrist worlds that have senators who support the First Order secretly.
Right. So then there's the big day in the Senate where they're going to announce their candidates for first senator. And Leia, the populace put up Leia, and everyone's happy, and they're, oh my OMG, she's going to win.
You forgot something.
No, I didn't.
Is there any reason that she should not be?
Well,
Carice has contacted Ransom.
We don't hear about that until after the fact. Because it's shocking when Ransom takes the mic, and everyone's like, when you're reading it, you're like, Ransom's going to say, I vote for Leia, and the centrists should vote for Leia too, and it's going to be happy, and everything's awesome. And he doesn't. He does the opposite. He says, there's no way on earth she should be first senator because she's Darth Vader's daughter.
Right. and that's when that's revealed to the entire galaxy. So now the whole galaxy knows that Luke and Leia are the spawn of Vader. Now everybody doesn't trust them. Leia loses all of her friends. Almost all of her friends.
Right. She just pulls out. She's like, all right, I'm not running for first senator. There's no way I can win.
I'm out.
I'm outie. And so, but she is resolved to go investigate to the end what's going on with this Rin Riven Die situation. So she decides she's going to go to Cybensko and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what happens on Cybensko?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Sabensko is like the water planet.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what happens. It's this water planet. You have to like land on a little pad and then go underwater.
It's a lot like Camino.
It's like a.
If you remember Camino from Attack of the Clones, they've got like these platforms, like oil platforms, but without dredging for oil. And then they live also underwater as well.
So
like underwater cities. Like
all the cities are underwater. So she comes with Greer and
Joff
and 3PO. I don't even know what exactly she was planning on doing. She was trying to get
She's trying to get records connecting the Amaxian warriors to Rin Riven Die and try and figure out who's funding it. And so she ends up finding records of billions of credits flowing to Rin Riven from him to the Amaxian warriors, and she's realizing there's a really big presence behind this. Like, this is just the tip of the spear.
No, right.
As it were.
She uses C-3PO. They get into this
like a terminal,
like whatever, and she uses C-3PO to get into the computer system and pull out all this information, and then C-3PO has it, so she needs to get him out.
Right.
And of course, like, just randomly while she's like thinks she's on her way out, and then she sees Rin Riven die.
Right.
So there's this showdown between those two, and I like the line. She says something about how he underestimated her. Did you forget I was a Hutt Slayer? It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then
she shoots a bolt.
There's
flood.
this huge force field that is keeping the water from crushing everyone.
There's tunnels connecting like main chambers. And they're in a tunnel.
She
shoots it and it causes the water to come down. She gets
gets the force field down, and she just barely makes it out. So, but she's still stuck inside. Like, C-3PO is not with her. She's just alone, and she's in these tunnels, and she tells everybody to just leave without her, get 3PO, because he's the one that has the information. That's all I need, and just abandon her. So she's trying to make her way out, and she gets caught with these Amaxines.
Well, she ends up finding like their base.
Right. She finds this huge base. She's stuck with them. She just goes back and forth. She makes it away from them, but then she's stuck in this chamber, and it's like
a landing platform on an elevator.
She's going to go up, but she knows they're going up at the same time, and when they get up there, they're going to attack her. She only has a blaster on her. This was one of the coolest parts. Han saves her, and he's like, it's like, I completely forgot about him, and that was probably the most surprising thing in the book, is when he came and rescued her.
Well, she specifically sent him a holovid. She couldn't contact him because he was in the middle of a big race. But she sent him a holovid saying, hey, I'm going to Sabensko, and all this stuff happened in the Senate, and the world knows I'm Darth Vader's daughter now. Okay, thanks, bye.
So
and then he rolls up.
As soon as she gets up above water, he just miraculously appears right there.
Well, because the Amaxian warriors have fighters that are coming to blow her up.
So she gets in with him. They make it out.
And they end up destroying their entire base. In Cybensko.
I don't remember how they do that, but yeah,
it causes a chain react. Like he shoots one of the platforms, and it causes a chain reaction. And they had a bunch of bombs and ships and stuff in there, and it blew it up.
But it also blew up the whole city, and all there was a lot of traitors.
It's a crime city, anyways.
Well, whatever. So they killed the whole planet.
Not a whole planet, just a city. Where bad guys live.
Okay, whatever. So they go get out. Greer and Sea Striker get out with C-3PO. She gets out
with Han.
And they have all this information. But nobody trusts her now. She doesn't really have a place in the Senate anymore. So she's kind of stuck.
She asked for one final hearing. to explain her
But
findings.
she has to have like so many people like agree to even let her talk at the meeting.
Right.
And it looks like they're not going to. And then at the last minute,
Casterfo says yes.
Casterfo says yes. So she presents this information.
And everyone's ambivalent. They're like, yeah, whatever. Thanks for your service. See you later. And so Carice and Arlise have a conversation, and Arlise is super angry because their base is blown up, and she wants to start fighting. You know, she wants all-out war with the New Republic, and Carice is like, no, that's not what you're about. We'll tell you, and you can do whatever you want to do, and that really makes Arlise angry. And so they end the call on bad terms. Then I can't remember. Tylin Gar is one of these other big prominent populist senators. He decides he's going to run for first Senate.
Leia's like closest friends, the only one who stays loyal to her throughout all this. And so he's elected, and
well, they think he's going to get. He puts in his name, and everyone's like, yeah, he's going to win.
But she finds out that his stance on everything is to just kind of keep everything at a standstill.
Right.
Like that's his plan is to just not ever let any decision go through. So it's
to do nothing.
Right.
He'd rather do nothing than become the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. And then, so I can't remember if it's like his inauguration or just like it was just a campaign rally. Arlise Hadrassian kills Tylin Gar, and then kills herself. And we find out that Carice ends up framing Ransom Casterfo for the assassination. And then Casterfo gets arrested, and he's going to go on trial and probably lose his life.
Well, and it's ironic because his home planet, he was one of the ones who reinstituted the death penalty,
right.
And so he has to go back to his home planet for a trial and is going to undoubtedly be killed. And there's nothing he can do about it. Before this point, Leia, sometime after he outed her in front of everybody, she came to his office and had it out with him. And
that was before Cybensko.
Yeah, you messed up big time
It's just not that important.
Oh, jeez.
So, that is huge.
It really isn't.
It's huge for their relationship.
A lot of what we've talked about has not been very important.
Right. It's a very detailed synopsis.
You can tell, like, he is, like, so betrayed. He feels so betrayed and hurt by her. She feels so betrayed and hurt by him because he told her about how Darth Vader killed his family, and this whole time it was her own father, and
she didn't tell him the truth.
Right. So he thinks that because she is Darth Vader's daughter, that has influenced her decisions, and that she was involved with Darth Vader her whole life, and he thinks that she made up the torturing and all this.
Right.
And so, you know,
she just tells him off.
He feels betrayed. She tells him how he basically ruined her life, how she has, you know, everything she told him about Darth Vader was true. He tortured her. He was her biological father, but she never knew him her whole life.
Right.
Her father was Bail, and she's had more reason to hate him than anyone. And how her son didn't even know, and now he had to find out this horrible way. And
her son Ben,
right. And he ruined her career, everything.
She had not told Ben at this point in the story.
Nobody knew besides Han.
Luke and Han.
Yeah, and so you know, you make it feel like he kind of is starting to think like, oh crap, what did I do?
They both feel terrible.
Yeah, they both feel bad, and
it's a horrible situation.
So then.
That's it.
When she finds out that he is being framed, she goes to him, she tries to talk to him, and they have this understanding of each other, and they get back on good terms, and she just feels horrible about all this. And
Doesn't matter.
Whatever. He's resolved that he's going to be killed, and she wants to do something, but she's completely powerless. And it's another ironic thing because he's the one that took out all her power.
Right.
So it's just this mess, and then she has to watch him be
He's a very
carried
tragic
away.
character.
It's tragic.
It's just heartbreaking.
Yep. And then,
ironic.
so at the very end of the book, Leia decides, all right, a Maxian warrior, there's something big going on. And she decides to get all of her most
bros.
trusted bros and basically start the resistance in a hangar on Hazian
She
Prime.
gets Admiral Akbar,
Yeah. Temin, Wedge.
Wexley,
Yeah.
Nien Numb.
Right.
So-
Emot we meet in Before the Awakening.
So the big things we learned in this book.
I'm not done. She also has a big conversation with Carice that's kind of like the
Yeah,
eyes.
there's
She gets a little
some
tiny
comeuppance.
bit of revenge against Carice because Carice is so obsessed with her title. One of the things that, as the governess of Biren, the artifacts that were in that treasure room are supposed to be
sacred and
well,
she broke a royal seal, right?
She took something from there and
So she
broke-
got her stripped of her
Right,
royalty.
she got her
basically.
stripped of her
All her
royalty.
titles and
for as much as Carice is an evil person, for some reason, just that title being stripped
it means a lot
really,
to
really,
her.
really hurts her.
It makes
And
her think she's
she's-
better than everybody
Right.
else.
She's just beside
She's
herself.
super angry, yeah.
So that's the only thing Leia could possibly do to get back at her
Right now.
for now, and that's
Yeah.
what she did.
And it was effective.
They don't actually talk about Ransom's actual execution. What if he's not, though?
He is. It's done.
What
He
if she
was
rescues him? What
She
if,
doesn't.
What if she?
What
gets
if the
the
Ransom
resistance-
Serapho dies.
How do
I
you
just
know?
wrote the book.
I hope he's
Sounds
not
like the most
dead.
interesting Star Wars book yet.
I mean,
I hope he's alive.
they had him dead to rights. They had a holovid of him and Arlise Hadrassian.
But they could prove that it
Shaking
was.
hands.
They could prove it was.
They can't prove. It was a secret mission that wasn't on the books.
No, but
He's
she's
dead to
got the
rights.
resistance now. What if the resistance swoops
They
in
don't.
and
He's
captures
dead.
him?
So what do we learn in this book? Can I go now?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Han and Leia are still together at this point.
They're still married. Happily.
Yes, 6 years before Force Awakens. So a lot happens
We already talked about
in that time frame. We did.
Ben is still training, so he isn't evil yet.
Yeah.
There's no mention of anyone remotely close to Snoke throughout the book.
Right.
So even though Leia said that she insinuated that she and Han knew Snoke, we don't know Snoke.
She insinuated that in the book?
No, in the movie.
Oh.
Luke is set up as this like mysterious person, like
He's-
almost a myth.
He's not even in the book. He's mentioned, but
Yeah.
he's not in the book.
But he's set up as sort of this mysterious
Right.
figure that's
Yeah,
out and
he's just
about.
been like
and-
out of the public eye for a long time.
Right.
He's been out of every. He's off training Jedi
off
and
the
learning
grid.
Jedi lore, and it's to the point where even normal plebeians think that he's made up, like he's just a piece of propaganda by the populace.
Right. How
to-
could one man blow up the Death Star?
Right.
Corsella, we learned a lot about her. Starting out as Leia's intern and later ending up.
She
Oh,
blows
we
up
didn't
with
even
Killed in
talk
Force
about her.
Awakens.
That's because
at
of that.
all.
There's
Yeah,
so many
she-
minor characters that don't really matter.
Right.
Well,
They matter
I mean,
in the scope of the book, and that's about
but
it.
we didn't talk about Greer, about her.
Her blood burn.
sickness.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
Well, it is kind of okay. I am going to talk about this. So, I'm just going to talk about how Han's character and his compassion for people
Greer.
kind of deepens because he takes in like young pilots and mentors them. But there is this Greer, this young pilot. She originally was just a pilot working with Han. He took her under his wing, and she was like
Really good.
really good.
Racer.
Blah blah blah. And she got this illness called the blood burn from just flying too fast, I guess. I don't know.
Flying too close to the sun.
So she gets this blood burn, and basically, like, she can't
It
be
could
in
kill
like
her.
stressful situations because her blood literally boils to the point where she will die. Her heart rate speeds up too fast, and all this stuff.
And she's addicted.
It's
to
like she's
smack
an
to keep it-
accelerant, and
to
she
keep
can
it
just
down.
explode. But she
And
has
so people with blood burn are like lepers. People just shove him off to an island to let him go die in peace.
So
But Han did the opposite.
he got
hid the
her
fact
a
that
job.
she has it.
Right. He got her a job with Leia, and like she's supposed to live like a quiet, calm life and not stress herself out and not fly and do that kind of stuff. And
She can fly, but just like transports
slowly fly.
Yeah.
She can't go too fast. So I think this was interesting that he took her in and did this because it reminds me of how he instantly connected with Rey in the movie and was like wanting to take her in. And I think in the movie, that was like the first time I've ever seen Han care about somebody. But now,
No,
That's a good. Well,
it's not the first time he's ever
a
cared about
complete
him.
stranger,
he
though.
does it with Luke.
That was fast.
He's just a little more resistive about
The
it.
whole series, he's the lovable smuggler that has the heart of gold.
But this was a really fast transition, like how he took her in so quickly and wanted her to work with him. I don't know. He's also a selfish smuggler.
He's not that selfish though. That's the whole part, the whole point.
He's evolved.
He likes to put that out that
But-
he is, and he's only out for himself. But he never is.
Okay.
Ever.
Well, I just think this is very similar, and it kind of shows you that, like, this thing with Rey, that's not the first time he's done this. He has a history of taking in young people.
Okay.
So I thought that was interesting.
We also learn, as we discussed, a lot about the First Order. I'm only highlighting the things that are like super important. First Order is there, deeply undercover, and slowly funding.
Unraveling the New Republic.
Yeah, they're funding terrorists and whatever to make the New Republic fold. The Hutts are
But
in the
my
decline.
point earlier was that
and-
there are
and
people.
Other crime organizations are filling the vacuum.
My point earlier was that there's people that are currently in the New Republic who
In the
are
Senate, sure.
working
There are
to
agents
establish
for
the First Order.
They're working to undermine the New Republic. They want the First Order to be something different, but they need the First Order to collapse. So they're undermining.
You mean
it.
they need the New Republic to
Yeah,
collapse?
sorry.
We learn Leia's parents. The whole galaxy does. That's major. We meet Brendel Hux.
We don't meet him. He's mentioned. We meet Brendel Hux in Life Debt.
Oh, okay.
He's not actually in the book.
So I am mixing it up.
No,
then.
he does. They mention.
They mention him.
Carice mentions
Right,
him.
but he's not in the book.
And the Resistance becomes a thing.
Yep.
So those are the major things that happen in this book. Any other major things?
Nope.
All right.
That covers all the major things.
So we gave a huge synopsis on this book.
Big synopsis. You don't even need to read the book.
No, you don't.
It was like
it's all there.
after reading Lost Stars, this was really hard to get into at first. It took me quite a while to get into it, but then I really liked it.
Yeah, it was
It was
harder.
kind of boring in the beginning.
It was harder at the start. I thought the touch. I listened to the audiobook. I thought the touch of having a female read the book was good because of Leia's perspective, being a woman.
Right, the
and
story
it's
is told
lit
from her
yeah.
perspective.
Yep.
The only bad part was Han's voice was unbearable.
I've yet to hear a single audiobook have Han's voice be anything but goofy and bad. So I'm used to it.
This book is not just a side story. I think this book is actually really important to building the universe. So read this.
It
if
sets
you
up the
haven't.
themes of why the New Republic ultimately fails.
Yeah. And it gives us a nice snapshot of the world. Like, also, it draws into question Rey's parentage, I think, a little bit more too. Because it's only 6 years before, so Rey would have to be like 12, and she's obviously not 12 when she's dropped off. So it makes me think more that
Rey will have been dropped off prior to this book.
right,
Right.
by quite a bit, by like 6 years.
Right.
So that makes it even more strange.
It doesn't make it strange. It makes it fit the plot that she is nobody.
Well, it makes it that she's doesn't have anything to do with Ben, at least not with the timing of him going evil.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still good way before, or she's dropped off way before he goes evil.
As far as we know, he might be bad at this point. We just don't know. We suspect that he's not, and that he's still with Luke.
Yeah, I guess technically we don't know.
Right. She hasn't heard from Luke or Ben in like months.
But I think this also sets up one of the things that could have led to Ben going bad, because he hears about his
It's definitely the first
grandfather
time
being Darth Vader from
I suspect that he
the
knew
news.
before.
You do?
I bet he does.
I think this could have been.
You don't think he could sense it, or maybe Luke told him?
I don't think Luke would have told him.
Why? I don't know why Leia didn't tell him.
Right?
They were. I don't know.
I don't know
But
why
She's just embarrassed
why you keep
by
that
it.
a secret.
I think that they could have. This could have been one of the things that just caused his disappointment in his
spiral.
parents and his frustration and.
So we've
and
already
all
missed
that.
all the disappointment in his parents. That happened before he went off with Luke, gallivanting across the galaxy.
Why?
Because the whole reason he went off with Luke was because he was having such a hard home life. At least that's what we have to insinuate from the movie.
Yeah, I forgot about that conversation.
What else do we have to say about the book itself that we didn't manage to do in the middle of?
An hour of synopses?
It was an hour and 5 minutes, but yeah.
I don't think there's anything else to say. I think we bookended it, slapped the cover on, and put the price label on it for you.
We sure did.
C-3PO was good. He wasn't annoying. I thought
He was the
was
only
good.
droid in the whole book.
He was a hero.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
No, there was a medical droid.
Yeah, there was.
Medical droid when she was given the drugs.
Yep.
For
it's
her
a blood burn face.
Cool her blood down.
Yep. Let's rate it, shall we?
I can't remember what I gave Lost Stairs. I think I gave Lost Stairs a 9. So I probably give this one like a 8, 7.5, 8.
I'm gonna give it an 8. 8 lightsabers. Jennifer, go.
I was gonna say 7.5.
Okay, so very solid book.
It's a really good book.
It's
Yeah.
very good. I like it.
Claudia Gray is my new Star Wars book jam.
Until the new Timothy Zahn novel comes out, maybe.
Maybe. Chuck Wendig, different story.
Is he the one that did Aftermath?
He's on the up,
Yeah, he is on the up.
and he can only go higher.
I would think
He's
so.
got lots of room to go
I
higher.
would think so. Spoilers for our Aftermath Life Debt episode. Josh and I will be recording very soon. Life Debt is way better than the original, but still not a super winner, I would say.
A super winner. It's not a super winner.
Do you guys want to read some letters?
We have time for a couple, maybe
We'll read
two.
a couple letters, and then we might have to do another fan explosion because we got a million emails. All right, here we go. This one is from Coxtimus Prime. He's referring to what, episode 78? Yeah.
The Kanan
Yeah,
issue 12.
issue
one.
12. He says that was a hard ep to listen to. Issue 12 of Kanan sounded god awful, and I'm now questioning if I want the collective at all. Jen's anger towards it kept me entertained enough to pull through, so thank you, Jen. Super excited about season 3 of Rebels, and definitely agree with a podcast per episode 1 for 1. Also, have you played Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens? Lastly, I'm programmed to cry after listening to you guys talk trash about that Star Wars hat. I was super excited about it, and when I got it, and really liked the Star Wars logo on the underside of the bill. I do too.
Yeah.
Don't make me switch to Star Trek's Geeks Converge. Oh man.
I have not played Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens yet. I aspire to at some point. I always like the Lego games.
I don't have a lot of time to play actual sit-down console video games anymore. I'm too busy working on my beautiful pergola and patio, which I just finished.
I have nothing but free time now.
Well, pergola isn't stained yet.
Yeah, I have to stain it, and I have to fix our fence, and I mean...
No games for you.
Right. Regarding the hat, I wear it every time we record now, so I'm sorry I made fun of it. It's just not my thing, and I still don't think I could pull it off. I could send selfies, though. JK.
I promised him that I would give him a diatribe on video game buying policies. So I don't buy video games when they come out unless they're like creme de la creme of games. I don't believe modern games are worth $60. Most modern games are worth about $20 to $25. So I wait until games are $20 to $25 before I buy them.
Boom. That wasn't much of a diatribe.
Well, I don't have a lot of time, so I didn't want to get too worked up.
Regarding Coximus Prime's statement about buying the collection, you absolutely should buy the collection.
Just don't read issue 12.
Is that a picture
Well, you
of him?
can
He did.
read
He
it.
sent
I
a
didn't
picture
see
of
that.
himself with the hat. Do you not read the emails?
I always read the emails. I didn't see the picture though.
My dater is really slow in your
Your
attic.
dater?
Yeah.
I think he pulled it off. Also, he has a lot of really cool pop figures behind
He's
it.
got a Harry Potter one. He's got the Captain Phasma.
I hope he doesn't listen to Star Trek Geeks Converge. I hate those guys.
I didn't look at his DVD selection. He has Frozen.
Everybody has Frozen.
He has the Avengers.
All right, here's a good one.
Thor.
Here's a good letter.
Alvin and the Chipmunks. Your letter was trash, Coximus Prime.
Oh my
Here's
gosh.
a good letter.
Oh my gosh. That was not at all what I was saying. Guys, this is number 5 fan, Mark Alistair Bolton.
Is his real middle name Alistair? Or did he make
I
that up?
doubt that.
He doesn't seem like an Alistair.
My God, what's wrong with me?
Stop sneezing.
I can't help it. Yes, it's definitely Alistair, and if it isn't, it is now. I hope this makes the listener feedback episode. If it doesn't, I'll try and time travel back to dinosaur times and try sending it again.
God.
That time travel did not work because
No.
you missed the feedback episode.
Maybe you just can't change the past.
Maybe. Mark was actually really upset that we didn't read this on.
We ran out of time,
Yeah, we
Mark.
did.
I
Mason.
tried to get him to read them all. There was only like 2 we missed.
Now he's going to have to listen to an hour and 20 minutes of Bloodline slog to get to
He
his
likes
email.
long episodes, I think.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Mason, what American version of The Office characters are you three the most like?
I think we already covered this.
No, we didn't.
No, we did not.
He just said that you were like Dwight.
All right, so I'll do Tim and Jen. I would say Jen is most like I can't remember the Indian
God.
girl's name.
Oh, what?
What's her name in the movie?
Kelly?
The show? Kelly, yeah. And
She
Tim
has like, oh my God.
and Tim is most like Toby.
Oh, you're just trying to pick the 2 people that we would get most annoyed with.
No,
He's
Jennifer.
definitely a Toby.
He
Jennifer
hates
is exactly-
Toby so much.
Jennifer is exactly like Angela, except
I am nothing like
except for she
Angela.
doesn't like cats.
Except for-
Otherwise, she is.
That's like her
100%
whole
the same.
thing is that she's a huge cat lady. That's like saying
No, but the neuroticness about her, and the tidiness, and the disliking other people because
I don't
they don't
think I'm
agree
like
with
Angela.
her.
I could see that.
You think
guys are
I'm?
crazy.
Don't be a Toby, Tim.
You think
Let's
He's
move on,
nothing
Toby?
like Toby.
Man.
And I like Toby. And he's still nothing like Toby. I don't hate Toby like he does.
I am really curious about what you really think.
All right, we got to keep moving.
I think he's more like
I got to go to
Ryan.
softball.
All right, Jen, what Buffy the Umpire Hunter characters are you 3 most like? I think
I'm not familiar with Buffy the Umpire Hunter.
I think he meant vampire.
Either way, it's Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
All right.
not Hunter.
All right.
This I thought about this so much, and I can't answer this, but
Oh my gosh.
I will tell you some characteristics that people have, but they're not totally. It's
Just answer the question.
okay. I can't.
Nobody knows anything about this show, so no matter what you say,
Okay.
it
Yes,
won't matter.
people know. People know. Okay. Tim, there's these characters, 3 nerdy characters called the Trio. One of them is named Jonathan. He is in from the very beginning. You're not really that much like Jonathan, but you have a lot of characteristics like all 3 of the Trio, and one of them goes really evil and then is killed by Willow.
That sounds like me.
You're a little bit like him,
Evil.
but just a little bit, because he like wants they like want to use magic to be like more popular, and they're like,
I would use
they're
magic
just-
in a heartbeat to make this podcast more
Right.
popular.
I don't know. There's a little bit characteristics there. Also, there's a few things about Xander that you're similar to, but not exactly.
So you didn't give Mark an answer.
No, I can't. It's too hard.
So he's like the trio. Okay.
He's like the
done.
Trio and a little bit like Xander.
The trio.
Josh, you're a little bit like
Spike.
Wesley. And in that you are a know-it-all, but people get annoyed with him a lot. And
That sounds about right.
Who
are you most
he's
like?
way cooler when he gets to Angel, but on Buffy, he's just kind of the annoying
my
know-it-all.
gosh. Mark, what have you done?
I don't know who I would be most like at all.
Just pick one.
No, I can't really. There's like a couple things about Anya. Like she's she used to be a demon, and she's like hyper literal, and she doesn't care about like saying things that offend people. And I do care about that sometimes.
Kind of like Angela from The Office.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. I'm sorry, Mark. I can't completely answer
What are the
you.
3 X-Men characters we're most like, Tim?
I wish I would have been thinking about this harder a second ago while Jenny was talking. I am the most like... I'm Cyclops. I'm super lame. Nobody likes me, but I'm the leader. Somehow. Josh is... Gosh, who's he like? I'm going to skip him for now. Jennifer, you're the most like... I guess you're like Jean Grey, and Josh is like Wolverine. I'm always worried at any moment that Jennifer's going to leave me for Josh. It could happen any day. There's this bizarre love triangle happening. Jennifer can read all of our minds.
Such a weirdo.
That's pretty much my answer to that.
Great. All 3, please name your favorite candy bars or kombucha flavors, whichever you like more. So I am a devout follower of the Milky Way.
Really?
I'm going to go... I just had a peanut butter Snickers, and I about did a backflip. It was so good. That might be my new favorite.
I like lots and lots of candy bars,
Yeah.
but Milky Way is my favorite.
Heath.
Heath is not good.
I don't eat candy bars very often, but
He didn't
why
ask
he
how
said-
often you ate them.
He said
What's your favorite?
If I
kombucha. He said, or kombucha.
okay, well, I'm gonna give you my least favorite kombucha.
Oh, that's not what he asked for. God.
I like a lot of different kombuchas. My favorite flavor is gingerade. My least favorite flavor is called multi-green.
What's your favorite candy bar?
I love Snickers, and I love almond Snickers and peanut butter Snickers.
All right.
I
Snickers.
love lots of different flavors
Pew,
of
pew.
Snickers.
All right.
Mark says, love the podcast. # programmed for etiquette. He was talking about my hat.
Yeah, the program for etiquette hat.
I think that's all we're going to read today. Maybe we'll do another
have softball.
feedback
Oh,
episode.
fine.
If
Everybody
we
really liked
had
that
we had lots
feedback.
of technical difficulties this morning.
Yeah, I
So.
updated to a beta of 10.2
And
or 10.12.
Did we get the video record of us?
No, I stopped it.
But
It probably
Is there
ceases
some
to
of it?
exist.
No, I blew it up.
oh
it was
my
garbage.
gosh, really?
Yeah, it's garbage.
There was some video of the beginning of the show, but it's gone forever. We'll try again next time.
Yep. All right. You
We
guys,
should do a
may the force
What?
be with you.
feedback
What?
episode.
Yes,
Like again,
yep.
people really like that.
Yeah, we should. We'll do one after we get some letters from this one. How about that? All right. May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
Did you hear that? We're doomed.
This podcast is a part of the Benview Network.
You can find this and other podcasts like it at BenviewNetwork.com.